Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. Hello, I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skabowski of Remax Lakes. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Doing fine. Spring has sprung. It is here, and that means that the market is tends to heat up during this time.
It's the selling season.
Yeah.
Typically end of March into September, October. So we're right in the heart of that. So just thought we'd talk a little bit about if you think I want to put my house on the market, you've done all the prep work that you think that you needed to do. This shows just some tips and some reminders of things that you really should do to help maximize, right? When you're selling, you want to maximize. You want to get as much as you possibly can and sell your house as quickly as you possibly can.
Okay.
For most people, that's where you want to be. You want to be done with the process because showings are a pain, right? Because you got to leave your house. People are going to come in. You got to be ready, you got to be picked up, all that stuff. You're living a lifestyle that most of us don't live in the perfect house.
Yeah.
Because when you walk out the door for a showing, you want it to present you
Right.
in the best possible fashion. So, just some suggestions. So, one of the first things is, create a blank canvas. Now, that sounds big and lofty, right? What does that mean? Declutter, depersonalize your house. And while these are just tips, you don't have to do it. I always tell sellers this, you don't have to, but if you want to get this thing sold, we need to depersonalize the house and declutter. What does that mean? If you've got the wall, the I Love Me wall, of you and your family and grandkids and, all these down the wall, all of these pictures, people will spend their time looking at that, not necessarily looking at your house.
Okay.
What are they looking for? Do I know these people? Oh,
Yeah.
It's one of those things. So, I'm not saying if you've got those big family portraits made, into 3x3 pictures hanging on the wall, I'm not saying take those off, but if you've got a bunch of 8x10s or 5x7s, it just looks cluttered, right? I mean, I get it. We live in it. We enjoy it because we can see all those pictures. When you're selling, take them off the wall.
Okay.
All right, take them off the wall, blank canvas. If you've got wild paint colors, neutralize those wild paint colors.
Oh, yeah.
The Notre Dame themed bedroom, and in this area, Notre Dame, okay, there's a lot of people that are Notre Dame fans.
That's big stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but not everybody is.
Right.
Neutralize that room. If you've got it, blue and gold, make it blue.
Yeah.
Make it gold, one color. Don't have pink and yellows and greens. The wild stuff. Neutralize.
Yeah.
Neutralize.
Yep.
So, that's the stuff on the inside of the house that you can work on that'll really make a difference is neutralizing that. Get rid of the pictures, all the grandkids, the paintings, the artwork that they've done stuck to the refrigerator to where it looks cluttered. Take that off of the refrigerator. Again, these are just tips. I'll tell you, hey, you don't have to do it. But if you walk into the kitchen and it looks cluttered, the countertops are full of stuff. People are wondering, is there enough room for me in here?
Right.
Is it, the kitchen, if it's small anyways, and you've got every appliance known to man, you got your, blender over here, you got your air fryer over here, you got toaster, you got all that stuff sitting on the counter. Yeah. There's no counter space.
Yeah.
So, take that stuff off. Declutter the kitchen.
Right.
The kitchen. That's an important room in the house. Kitchens and baths are what'll sell houses. I mean, that's been my experience. If you don't have enough bathrooms, if the bathrooms are tiny, if the kitchen's tiny, I've had more people walk out and say, not interested in this. You got a galley style kitchen that's 5x5, barely enough room to turn around. Yeah. People are gonna have a hard time.
Well, when you have people over, you tend to migrate to the kitchen for
right.
whatever reason that
for
is.
Whatever reason, you're
but
right.
you circle
right.
up in the kitchen.
Right. So get that kitchen, get it decluttered, get the whole house decluttered. Right when you're doing that. As long as you've got that together, and you ultimately the number one thing is to price it right. And I know we're in the middle of the show, and I'm hitting the number one thing. But if you don't price it right, you're not going to sell.
Yeah.
Even today.
Okay,
even
but
today.
we've just gone through the past couple of years that you could list, you could put it on basically whatever price,
You
and
could.
and there was like multiple listings.
Yeah, you had people, there was no inventory, and there was really high demand. There still is not a lot of inventory.
Okay.
And I'm not saying, hey, if you price it too high, you're never going to sell it. But in the last couple of weeks, we have started to see price decreases. So
Really?
what
Okay.
does that mean?
Yeah.
If it's out there on the market for 15 days, people are adjusting their price.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they've realized either they're not getting any showings or their feedback's been overpriced or whatever. So pricing it right, having it ready to sell, which is what we're talking about today, having it ready to sell, are the two biggest things that you can do to help. If you truly, hey, I want to get my house sold at the highest possible price, those are two things. Price it right within the market,
Okay.
and then have it ready, have it decluttered, cleaned up, and a couple of things we'll talk about after the break. Have it ready to put on the market before you do.
Okay, sounds good. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm Woody Zimmerman here with Mark Skabowski of Remax Lake. So we're talking about getting your house ready to sell, but also pricing it right. And you said that prices have dropped a little bit here, and if it's on the market for say like 15 days, or people are already thinking about, all right, is it priced too high? We've gone through a couple of years of like higher pricing. What about comps? How are comps playing into how people are pricing it now?
So, and that's really what the crux of the matter is you need to use recent comps.
Okay.
You can't use comps from 2021. So, and again, it's a classic listing appointment. Walk in the door, you got a seller, hey, I'd like to sell my house. We go through the dance as far as, hey, all the questions, answers, a typical call, and then we get to, well, what do you think it's worth? And generally sellers say to me, well, what do you think it's worth?
Yeah.
What am I asking that question for? So we can see if we're going to set a realistic price, or if it doesn't make sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, I'm going to be the first one to tell you it's probably not the right time for you to sell.
Okay.
But when I hear, well, my neighbor's house sold, and here we are, it's in April, last January, for X, that is not a legitimate comp for today.
Okay.
It is not. Right? Here it's April of 23. January of 22 was a totally different time. Totally different time. Different interest rate environment, totally different market than what it is today.
Yeah.
So the fact that their neighbor's house sold for X doesn't really impact what theirs is. Now, it needs to go into my thinking. The reason it's in my thinking on the pricing side is because what's the neighborhood?
Yeah.
What's the values of homes in the neighborhood? Not just one. In general, what are the values of homes in the neighborhood?
Okay.
And specific neighborhoods are, the homes around it typically sell in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
If they're similar size, quality, all of those things.
Right.
So comps are important, and pulling more recent comps are really important. Now, if you can't find anything, then yes, you can use that, and you kind of discount that year-and-a-half old comp for something you're trying to price today. But that's, again, the importance of working with an agent, and it's not a marketing ploy from my perspective, but we know the market today.
Yeah, you're doing it 40 plus hours a week, every week.
We know what it looks like today, not what it looked like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So comps are important. Pricing correctly is important. Pricing within the right time frame. So lenders typically, when an appraiser goes out to do an appraisal, they want to find 90 days or less. Now, in our market, that's tough. It is. If they can't do 90 days, they're going to go to 6 months. They want to do a more recent comp. Because quite honestly, interest rates jumped up last summer, middle of the summer.
Okay.
And that's when the real estate market changed.
Okay.
It was in the middle of the summer in 2022. Maybe it was July, maybe it was August. That's when, for me personally, and when you watch the numbers, the statistics, it's like somebody turned the spigot off. And that's because interest rates went up to 7.5%.
Yeah.
When the Fed jumped in and started adjusting rates, and rates jumped up to 7.5%, people got concerned. So that impacted values, that impacted demand, and all of those goes into pricing. Pricing your home. So if the intent is to get it sold, you need to look at more recent comps. If you use those old ones, And what we're seeing is people that are trying the market, let's try a little bit higher. They're out there for a couple of weeks and they're either getting no showings, because we do get feedback. The listing agents get feedback from
Yeah.
not only the agents, but the clients that are looking. If the feedback is price too high, price too high, price too high, price too high, price too high,
Yeah.
and you've had 10 showings and you don't have any offers yet, you know what? You're priced too high.
Yeah.
You know, not rocket science.
Yeah, plain and
Yeah.
simple.
Now, some sellers, no, you're not, it's my pictures. Well, we've had 10 people through, it's not the pictures.
Yeah.
Well, it's this. Well, if you're not advertising it in the right spot. We've had 10 people through.
Yeah,
The
it's
feedback
being
has been
advertised.
priced.
Yeah.
We've had, it's priced.
Yeah.
So just price it right and you don't have to go through those connections. And although I totally understand why people do it, I want to get the most that I possibly can.
Right.
But if your objective is ultimately to sell, let's get it sold.
Right, but in this market or where it's been, if you're on the market for a couple of weeks or whatever, now people are starting to say, well, what's wrong with the
You
property?
got it. What's wrong with the house?
Yeah.
Why hasn't it sold?
Mhm.
So that's the negative side of this. But for you as a seller, get the house ready.
Yeah.
Take care of the couple things we talked about earlier. Curb appeal, important. You and I have talked a little bit off air, right?
Yeah.
Picking up sticks.
Yeah, simple stuff.
Simple stuff. Clean your yard up because it looks
Yeah.
nasty.
Right.
Right across the road from me, there's huge trees. My yard was full of branches.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there looking at it, oh man, I hate that. So when I was out on poop patrol,
Yeah.
cleaning up my doggy doo-doo out in the yard,
Yeah.
I decided, you know what, I'll clean up all of the sticks. And I got back and I looked back, I was like, man,
Now it looks pretty good.
Yard looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It didn't look very good with all those sticks.
Right.
So, and as we get into this time, hey, we may have to mow our grass,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's going to start growing. It's been a little chilly at nights and stuff, but grass is going to start growing. If you got your house listed, pick up outside. Do that spring cleanup early.
Yeah.
Clean up the sticks, clean up the old leaves, make your landscaping, even if they're not lush and green, get the dried leaves from the fall out of there.
Yeah.
Get it to where you're presenting yourself in the best possible light.
Mm-hmm.
It'll help your house sell more quickly, and it'll help it sell at a higher price. And I guess the last thing that I would mention is for you as a seller, you can assist in the marketing, right? We've all got friends of friends of friends. And I always go back to the old Breck Girls commercial. Now, I'm dating myself. There was an old commercial on TV, which was Breck shampoo.
Okay.
And it would say, you tell two friends, and so on,
Oh,
and so
yeah.
on. And this is back in the day when, it wasn't that high speed on TV.
Yeah.
But they took, one person became 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4,
Yeah.
double as you go. And the whole block was full of these ladies. And you tell your friends, and so on. Tell your friends on social media.
Yeah.
Tell your friends on social media. Contact your agent if you're interested. Don't just go out and do it on your own. Call me.
Yeah.
If you've got your property listed, help your agent by passing that on to your friends.
Well, that makes sense.
It's
Yeah.
your network. You're
Yeah.
helping pick your neighbors.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
So-
No, that's good.
So help get the word out about your property.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right, Mark, your contact information.
Sure. Website's lake-realtors.com, 574-834-1233. You can always email me at markskabowski@remax.net and check us out on YouTube.
Yep. Our
Real
mugs.
estate in real
Our
time.
mugs are on TV. Yep. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.